Welcome back to the office at Whitetail Ridge, everyone, and today we're going to be talking about rainwater catchment systems, and particularly my rainwater catchment system and how I feel about it. Now, obviously, as you can see, mine's not currently hooked up because I disconnected it right before the hard freeze that we got and was actually anticipating on doing some repairs to it and haven't been able to do so until now, which is why I'm doing this video. So first off, with these containers that I have behind me and everything, I have about 1,100 gallons worth of water storage, and quite honestly, that's not enough. It's nowhere even near enough, especially for us. Even though this is a rain catchment system, and one of the biggest things that people do not think about is while you are catching rainwater, you have to have capacity, and 1,100 gallons, whether you're getting rain or not, is not enough. Because 1,100 gallons can go so quickly, it is not even funny. Capacity is key when it comes to this. Whatever your number is, and everyone is going to have to figure that number out for themselves, but whatever your number is, you need to easily take that and double it. Because with rainwater catchment, you never actually know or are guaranteed to catch rain, and there's a few reasons why. Number one being drought. No one ever thinks about going through a drought until it happens and it's too late, and now you're in a situation that you have to get out of very, very quickly, depending on your water levels. And I can tell you that, excuse me, the first year that we were out here, absolutely zero problem with rain, absolutely zero problem with rainwater catchment. We were getting all the rain we could possibly want and then some, and we didn't have anywhere to put it. Was that a problem? No, because we were getting so much rain. However, the caveat to that is that when you go into a drought, it doesn't matter how big and how good of a catchment system you have. If you don't already have the supply on hand, whenever you get those rains, if you don't have something to refill it back into, good luck. Because the next two seasons after that, including this last one particularly, there was little to no rain here in the Ozarks at all. And we were having to go and get water from elsewhere, down to the river or down at the campground or something like that, or even borrowing from the neighbors and them letting us use their well to top our tanks off. So capacity is key. I don't care where you live or what anyone tells you. Just because your average rainfall says you might get 40 to 50 inches per year, don't ever count on that. You always want to take your water and shoot it to the next level, especially with these systems, because you never know when you're going to be catching and when you're not. So we're at 1,100 gallons right now, and quite honestly, we probably need to be closer to about 2,500, and that's still not enough in my opinion, because with the droughts that we went through, even 2,500 gallons between rains would not have been enough. Now, as I said, I currently have this disconnected. You can see my downspouts aren't actually going into anything. They're actually going nowhere because, well, we haven't had any rain to speak of, and the rain that we had, it wouldn't have mattered because it rained so hard, which is another key that people don't think about, is that it rains so hard with the particular roof style we have, which is a barn style roof. It rained so hard that the top slant, it just hits it and just launches right straight off of the roof. And when that happens, it doesn't matter how much rain there is, you're going to come out and find out that you only filled up a quarter of a container at best. And that would be in optimal conditions. So the barn style roofs, they're nice, they're attractive, whatever. Some people like them, some people don't. This was just a by chance thing that we happened to get when we purchased this tiny home. But I don't like them for rain catchment. They're kind of a pain because in heavy situations, it just shoots right straight off and you don't catch hardly anything except for the residual that comes off and runs down the outer face and into the gutters. Now, another thing with rain catchment is people are going to have varying degrees of opinion on this, but I don't particularly care for the plastic gutters. They are very hard to work with. I do think they're a little bit more durable than the metal, but they're very hard to work with as far as getting a good rigid angle going in them and not having any kind of waviness, and able to tilt them in properly to catch your rainwater. So ideally, probably metal is what we're going to be switching to here relatively soon, because it's just a little bit more rigid, and it is, I think it is a little bit more expensive if memory serves correctly, but I think, in my opinion, it's going to be working a lot better for us. Now, another thing that you will hear from people is that, having a first flush system, and I'm not going to advocate one way or another for having it. I will tell you, we don't have one. And the reason for not having one is that no matter what you do, you are always cleaning these systems out, and they always get plugged. Don't let anyone tell you anything differently. You're going to have gutters. Stuff is going to fall in the gutters. Now, if we trimmed back trees and stuff, it would definitely help. But you are always going to have stuff getting into the gutters. You're always going to be cleaning them out. And rainwater is actually somewhat of a high maintenance system. So keep that in mind. You will always be cleaning stuff out. We typically will have screens or something to that nature or sort over our actual lid catch areas, so that way we get out all of the heavier debris and whatnot, and we're not constantly having to fish them out of the tanks, because that does become a pain if you go the route of no screen. It does plug up pumps or even your ball valves down on the bottom, which is also a really big pain. And mosquitoes is another thing. Mosquitoes, I'm going to tell you right now, unless you live in an area where mosquitoes are just not around, there is next to nothing that you can do to actually prevent this from happening. And a lot of people might say that I'm incorrect on this, but if you found a way where you get absolutely zero mosquitoes into your water, I am happy to listen, because out here we've gone through the cooking oil on the top of the water, trying to make that work. We've gone through bleaching. I mean, it doesn't matter. Screens, you pick something, we've tried it. It doesn't always work. It can work, but it doesn't always work. The oil method, you really have to have everything so perfectly level and keep it perfectly level, because if you give those mosquitoes even just an inch of room, they're going to take it and they're going to start laying eggs into your water. So keep that into mind. But rainwater, all in all, does it work? Yes, it works. Is it easy? No, it's definitely not easy. Capacity, you always need to have double or triple or even quadruple what you think you're going to need, because you never know when those droughts are going to come through. And again, cleaning and maintaining, it is a lot of work in order to make sure this thing is constantly running perfect. And again, this is my experience. I know that there are people out there that probably have something devised where it actually works, where they have a low maintenance system. But when you look at the general setup of it, I honestly don't see how anyone is getting away with a maintenance-free system. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So that being said, we are gradually moving closer to getting a well and operating off of well water. Yes, that will require power. Yes, we are off grid, but we do create solar power. So there's that. Yes, that will be a power requirement we have to make up for, but we are already in the process of doing so. All in all, in the end, is rainwater worth it? It can get you by. It can get you by. But don't ever let anyone sit here and tell you that it is the easiest thing or anything of the sort. I'm not going to get into the rabbit hole of different reasons of why it could be the perfect source of water. Just know that it is a lot of work. It is dirty, and it does take filtering, and it takes a lot of maintenance to keep everything clean and going the way it should. Just keeping these things in mind and choosing whether or not rainwater is good for you, I'd say for the vast majority of people, it will work out on a short term, but you should really be looking for a permanent solution as far as getting a well or even hauling water in. And I would not recommend that second one, because that's even more work in my opinion. But either way, this is my 2 cents when it comes to rainwater and my experience with it. So do what you're going to do. Be smart about the stupid things you do, and make sure you explore all the different options and all the different possibilities of what could go wrong and what could go right, and whether or not it's right for you. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Don't forget to click the like button, subscribe, share, do anything you can to help us out. We appreciate it, and have an amazing evening, everyone.